Welcome to everyone. This is Baburao Kunchala. Today I would like to start History 12th Standard NCERT series. The first chapter named the Harappa Civilization, which is important for all competitive exams and including UPSC. So I would like to focus more on UPSC, Union Public Service Commission exam, and rest of the state service exams. So the first chapter, Harappa Civilization, and in 12th Standard History book. First one, Bricks, Beads and Bones. This is the chapter name. Bricks, Beads and Bones. So first, before going to start our lesson, what we know about the Harappa civilization and what are the archaeological evidences available to know about Harappa civilization. So, and again, once again, I'm repeating here what we know about the Harappa civilization and what are the archaeological evidences available to find the Harappa civilization. So, the first one here, the Harappan seal was found in Harappa area. The seal made of stone is called steatite. This is one of the evidence. And second one, the Indus Valley civilization is also called the Harappan culture. The Indus Valley civilization also called Harappan culture. Why we call it here Harappan culture? Because it was the first site founded by Archaeological Department. That's why, and the civilization also called Harappa culture. So the objects that are found in Harappa civilization that includes seals, beads, weights, stones, stone blades and baked bricks. These are the main objectives found in Harappa. These objectives were found from areas as far apart as in Afghanistan, Jammu, Balochistan and Gujarat area. Balochistan present in Pakistan. The main of these objects found in these areas. So Harappa, the first site where this unique culture was discovered, it is dated between 2600 BC to 1900 BCE. So there were earlier and later cultures also. Often we called that later earlier cultures early Harappan and late Harappan in the same area. So we can find here early Harappan and late Harappan in the same area. So this is the one of the seal which was found in Harappa area. So Harappa seal, where you can find here the pictographic script on the seal, and again you can see here different symbols and unicorn. You can find the unicorn on this seal. So this is one of the evidence available for us and to know about more information about the Harappa area. So then again here you can see one more image here, that is beads, and again here weights and blades. These objects also found in Harappa area. So weights, and you can see the unique weights and polished beads also you can find, and at the same time here and blades and weights also, one of the unique weights also found in this Harappa area. So next one here, the Harappa culture, early Harappa. We can divide this Harappa culture into three phases. First phase, early Harappa culture that was existed before 2600 BCE. And second one, mature Harappa culture that was existed between 2600 BCE to 1900 BCE. This mature Harappa culture also called present Harappa culture. Then next third one is here, late Harappa culture, and it was the last one. The after 1900 BC, that culture existed in Harappa area called late Harappa culture. Once again, I'm repeating three Harappa phases. We can divide here Harappa phases into three things here. Early Harappa culture that was before 2600 BC, and mature Harappa culture 2600 BC to 1900 BC, and late Harappa culture after 1900 BC. Thus, so the Harappa civilization is sometimes called the mature Harappa culture. So what we are calling the Harappa civilization, that is sometimes called mature Harappa culture to distinguish it from these cultures. So early Harappa culture and late Harappa culture have the similarities, but whereas the mature Harappa culture, where you can see the peak stage in Harappa, peak stage culture in Harappa area. So now here there are some early and mature Harappa cultures and sites are found by the archaeological department. And if you look this figure for the number of settlements in Sindh and Cholistan, the desert area of the Pakistan bordering the Thar Desert. So these two places, you can majority of the sites found in these two places, Sindh and Cholistan. So now here 106 sites, total sites here 106 in Sindh area and Cholistan 239 sites. And out of these 106 and early Harappan sites are 52 in Sindh and 37 from the Kholistan. And mature Harappan sites is 65 from the Sindh and 136 from the Kholistan. And again here you can see the mature Harappan new sites and settlements on new sites 43 from Sindh and 132 from the Kholistan. And early Harappan and site abundant here mostly 29 and 33. So these are some factual information which is available in our NCERT book. So right. So next one, look at here the major important things here. And here you can see some kind of terminology. And again here in this map we can observe. In this map we can observe some important sites in Harappa area. So the first one here, and we will look here the mostly here abbreviations. BP. The BP stands for before present, which is mostly used in history. And BCE stands for before common era. And CE, which is actually stand for common era, right? Common era. The present year, what you are using here. And in NCERT it was mentioned in 2007 is the present year, and 2023 is the present year. When we want to mention the present year and 2023 CE, that's we are going to mention. And C stands for the Latin word, what we call here circa, and means approximate. It means here approximate. So then these are the terms we are using in history when we want to tell something like years and day years. So at the time we are using here BP, BC, CE and all these terms. So look at this map here. If you observe this map, most of the sites exist on the bank of river Sutlej, because bank of river Indus. And some sites you can see here exist in the Haryana and exist in the Gujarat, and some sites the east and west side of the Sindh, and mostly all these what we call the Harappan civilization exist on the bank of river Indus. So now here, then the first one we are going to discuss here, Harappa culture and the beginning of Harappa culture. So beginning of the Harappa culture means here first phase of the Harappa culture. Could you please tell me here the first phase Harappa culture years? Then here please mention in the comment box. So the first phase of the Harappa culture, it was prior to the mature Harappa cultures. There was several archaeological cultures associated with this distinctive pottery, agriculture, pastoralism and crafts. So now here in this, the Harappan culture at the beginning of the Harappan culture or early Harappan culture, which was existed before the mature Harappan culture, and there was some archaeological evidences available for this beginning of the Harappa culture. That archaeological evidence are pottery. We have the pottery and agriculture and pastoralism and craft. These are the main thing here. And the settlements were in this early Harappa, and settlements were very generally they were small. Settlements were small, and there were virtually no large buildings in the early Harappa. No large buildings also, no large buildings in early Harappa. And there was a break between the early Harappa and the Harappan civilization. That Harappan civilization means here mature Harappa civilization. There was a break. Why we are mentioning here break? Then there is a unique, what we call unique between the early Harappa and mature Harappa. So that's why here there was a break. So the break is evident from large scale burning at some sites as well as the abandonment of certain settlements. So what about the reason for this break? Mostly large scale burnings at some sites. That's why early Harappan cities may be collapsed, destroyed, as well as the abandonment of certain settlements. Right? These are the major reason for the break. So next one here, mature Harappan culture developed in some of the areas occupied by the early Harappan culture. That mature Harappan culture actually developed in some of the areas occupied by the early Harappan culture. So the Harappans ate a wide range of plant and animal products, including fish. And their food and their diet, mostly you can see plant. They ate the plants and animal products, including fish also. This is very, very important. Harappans aware of the fish. So the grains, you can see here grains that was found at Harappan sites. The grains. What type of grains are actually ate by, Harappans are aware of this one. That including wheat, barley, lentil, chickpea and sesame. So once again I'm repeating here that Harappans actually aware of the wheat, barley, lentil, chickpea and sesame. So now here millets also found in some sites in Harappa. The millets are found from the sites in mostly in Gujarat. So in Gujarat, there were traces of rice also in Gujarat areas, particularly some Lothal. And traces of the rice are relatively rare. That is also available in Harappa. But anyway, animal bones found at Harappan sites that includes those of cattle bones, sheep bones, goat, buffalo and pig. Animals were domesticated by the Harappans. So right, most of the animals were domesticated by the Harappan. They were also, and you can see most of the bones of the wild species. And not only domestic animals, bones of the wild species also found by the archaeology department, like a boar and deer and gharial are also found. That species also, bones also found in Harappa. So that means here, and Harappan people not only domesticated animals and they were also aware of the wild species. And again here bones of the fish and fowl are also found. Bones of the fish and fowl are also found in Harappa. So right. And what are the agriculture technologies and used by the Harappan people? The agriculture technologies. So, and agriculture is indicated by the finds of the grain, because archaeological departments has been found these some grains like millets and all these grains. So that is actually giving some evidences Harappan people aware of the agriculture. So that's why we will discuss this one. And the representation on seals and terracotta sculptures indicates that the bull was known, oxen were used for ploughing. So oxen were used for ploughing. That means here Harappans aware of the agriculture. So they were used these bulls or oxens for ploughing the agriculture or ploughing the land. So right. And terracotta models of the plough have been found at sites in Kolistan and Banwali, Haryana area. Are you getting my point? Once again here, a terracotta models of the plough have been found at the sites here. Kolistan, where is the Kolistan? Please comment in comment box. Where is Kolistan present? So next one here, and Banwali, Haryana. So evidences of a plough field at Kalibangan, then Rajasthan. Where is Kalibangan? Is one of the Harappan site in Rajasthan. This Kalibangan actually associated with the early Harappan levels. The evidence of ploughed field at Kalibangan has been also found by our archaeological department. So it was associated with the early Harappan levels. So next one here, there are two different crops were grown together. Like here, Harappan people aware of these Kharif crops, Rabi crops also. Correct? Then you look here, terracotta bull. This is a terracotta bull, that's right. And mostly this bull used to cultivate the land. It is actually giving evidence of the agriculture in Harappa area. So right, next one look here. Most of the Harappan sites are located on semi-arid lands where irrigation was probably required for the agriculture. So most of the Harappan sites are located in semi-arid lands where irrigation was probably required for agriculture. Right, irrigation is required. Right. So it traces of canals. Then again here archaeology department also traces some canals that have been found at the Harappa sites of Shotugai in Afghanistan. canals have been found at Shotga in Afghanistan, but these canals are not in Punjab or Sindh area. You get my point? So again here, it is also likely to that water drawn from wells was used for irrigation. In Punjab and Sindh area, mostly they used wells for the irrigation purpose, but Shotga they used the canals. So that means here, Harappan people aware of the canal irrigation system and wells irrigation system also. So now here, they were also constructed some reservoirs, water reservoirs that was found in Dholavira, Dholavira, Gujarat, that may have been used to store water for agriculture sector. So look here, some of the copper tools which is used for the agriculture sector. So to plow the, mostly these copper tools actually used to plow the land or different purpose in agriculture. Okay, right. So here we have one image here, reservoir at Dholavira. This is the reservoir, the beautiful reservoir here, and you can see the different, which is actually note that machinery work in this reservoir. Where is the reservoir? Reservoir actually you can see archaeology department found here reservoir at Dholavira area. Right? Where is Dholavira? Please comment in box. So next one is the plight of Harappa. The plight of Harappa. So the first one here, Harappa was the first site to be discovered, but it was badly destroyed by brick robbers. Badly destroyed by brick robbers. Why brick robbers actually destroyed this one? Bricks. This is the strong bricks. Actually, Harappans who was used burn bricks, which is available during the time of the Britishers period also. So these bricks actually robbed by the citizens to construct their buildings in modern period. So most of the sites were destroyed because of these kind of robberies. So right, that means here Harappa was, even though Harappa was the first site, but unfortunately it was badly destroyed by the brick robbers. Second one here, many of the ancient structures at the site were damaged. Many of the ancient structures at the sites were damaged. In contrast, Mohenjo-daro was far better preserved. If you observe here, Mohenjo-daro was a far better for the preserve purpose. So right. So next one here, what is the Mohenjo-daro and a planned urban center? Mohenjo-daro and a planned urban center. So first one here, the most unique feature of the Harappan civilization was the development of urban centers. Very, very important point. The most unique feature of the Harappan civilization was the development of urban centers. Mohenjo-daro is the most well-known site. And the first site to be discovered was Harappa. Even though the first site to be discovered was Harappa, but Mohenjo-daro was the biggest, most well-known site in Harappa civilization. So the settlements is divided into two sections. In Mohenjo-daro, the settlements were divided into two sections. One small but higher settlement, a smaller section of people but higher level, that is Citadel. But other much larger section of the section but lower town. So here higher town and lower town. The city was divided into higher town and lower town. Okay, right? Higher towns actually smaller towns, lower town actually larger towns. So then here east and west, the west side towns are citadels, west side towns are smaller towns or high level, whereas the east side towns are actually lower town, here larger in section. So the west side towns actually surrounded by the citadel. So now here we will discuss what is citadel. So the citadel owes its height to the fact that the buildings were constructed on mud brick platforms. So right, it was walled. Citadel means here it was walled, which meant that it was physically separated from the lower town. The physically separated from the lower town. So that means here higher town or small town separated from the lower town, right? Because the separation actually done by the citadel. So higher town is surrounded by the citadel. It might be a protection purpose. It might be different, right? So now here look at this image or look at this map. So with the west side here you can see citadel and east side you can see the what we call the lower town. So higher town and lower town. So higher town is the smaller one, whereas the lower town is the larger one. Both are separated physically. Higher town is surrounded by the citadel. Higher town is surrounded by the citadel. Are you getting my point? So now here, what are the variations? Citadel variations. There are different variations in the citadel. First one, well, most of the Harappan settlements have a small high western part and large lower eastern section. There are variations. And at sites, if you observe here, Dolavera and Lothal, both sites exist in the Gujarat, Dolavera and Lothal. The entire settlement was fortified. In Dolavera and Lothal, the entire settlement was fortified. Right? The sections within the town were also separated by the walls. The entire settlement, that means lower and higher settlements, entire settlements were fortified in the Dolavera and Lothal. But inside the citadel, inside the town, they were separated by the walls. That's very, very important. And the citadel within Lothal was not walled off. And there was again one unique in the Lothal. The Lothal was not walled off, but it was built at height position. There was no wall here, but it was built at height. This is very, very important, unique for the prelims exam. So, citadel actually used for specific public purpose. What is that purpose? That's very, very important. So, the citadel mostly used for the different purpose, and it's excavated at Mohenjo-daro in Sindh and Pakistan. The citadel actually excavated at Mohenjo-daro in Sindh and Pakistan. And the citadel actually includes the warehouse and the great bath. It's very, very important. The citadel, actually inside the citadel, you can see warehouse and the great bath also. Particularly these what called great bath and warehouse, you can see that Mohenjo-daro area or Sindh, Pakistan. The great bath was a large rectangular tank in a courtyard and surrounded by a corridor on all four sides. It's very, very important. Once again, I'm repeating here. The great bath was a large rectangular tank that was found in Mohenjo-daro in a courtyard and surrounded by corridors on all four sides. And the great bath is located in the center of the citadel. It's very, very important. And it's made of fine baked waterproof mud bricks. Waterproof mud bricks, that's very baked waterproof mud bricks, and a thick layer of bitumen. Also there. A natural tar is there, that is presumably to keep water from seeping through the walls, which indicates that it was used for the holding water. That's very, very important. The great bath actually in Mohenjo-daro, and it's actually been advanced with advanced technology at the time, right? And not only that one here, then once again you need to understand, and here actually they use different technologies to construct this great bath. So, and next one here, this huge deep bath actually could have been a place for maybe ritual bathing or religious ceremonies. It might be ritual bathing or religious ceremony. That's very, very important. Okay, right? So, it is the earliest public water tank of the ancient world. Very, very important. Very, very important here. It is the earliest public water tank of the ancient world. Before that, there was no water tank. So that's why important. And adjacent to it, adjacent of this great bath, and you can see it or a well is also available that was used to supply water to the bath. That's very, very important. Well also there, but that was used to supply water to the bath. Right? This is mostly you can see here citadel. Next one we are going to consider the lower town. Lower town or a large section of the people who is living in the lower town. But in lower town there was no citadel in the lower town. Very, very important. Higher town there was a citadel. So in lower town, the lower town was also walled, but it's not in high section. Several buildings were built on platforms which served as a foundations. Several buildings were built, a platform which served as a foundation. The settlement was first planned and then implemented accordingly. So here you need to understand, first they were planned the settlement and later implemented according to the planning. So full planned structure, a full planned urban structure here. And other signs here, planning include bricks, right? And which whether sun dried or baked, or mostly here you can see the standardized ratio bricks they use. Very, very, very important. And where the length and the breadth of the were 4 times and twice the height respectively. That is also important, right? So next one here, most of such bricks were used at all Harappan settlements. The ratio bricks, full-fledged ratio bricks, and length and the breadth were 4 times and twice the height respectively. Okay, right? So next one here, laying out drains. That's also very important. Laying out drains. Okay, right? So now here, one of the most distinctive feature of the Harappan cities was the carefully planned drainage system. It was the unique system in Harappa. Unique system in world also. A drainage system, planned drainage system. In lower town roads and the streets were laid out along an approximate a grid pattern intersecting at right angles. That's very, very important. Lower town roads and streets were laid out along the grid pattern that intersecting at right angles. Next one here, the streets with the drains were laid out first and then houses were built along them. That's very, very important. First there were streets with the drain they laid out first and then houses were built along them. Okay, right? So look here the drainage system at Mohenjo-daro. A drain in the Mohenjo-daro, notice the huge opening of the drain, biggest one, right? That's why it's a unique one, underground drainage system. It's a unique one. That's why unique underground drainage system is a unique feature of the Indus Valley civilization. Okay, right? So next one here, every house, very, very important. Every house was connected to the street drains. Every house, right? And the drainage system were not unique to the large cities, but were found in smaller settlement as well. It's not only larger cities and smaller settlements also you can see these kind of things. And at Lothal, for example, the houses were built of mud bricks, but drains were made of burn bricks. That's very, very important. They give more importance to the drainage system. Houses were built of mud bricks in Lothal, but drains were made of burn bricks. Right? So next one here, what is the domestic architecture in Lower Town? Domestic architecture. At Lower Town, particularly at Mohenjo-daro, it provides example for residential buildings. So right, many were centered on a courtyard with rooms on all sides. Many buildings, many residential houses mostly centered on courtyard with rooms on all sides. That's important. The courtyard was probably the center, mostly the center of activities. That is mostly here the center of activities. The courtyard using such as cooking purpose, weaving purpose, and mostly here and particularly during the hot and dry weather season. So right. So, but mostly no windows in the walls along the ground level. In down level, no windows in the walls along the ground level. But the main entrance, first very, very important point. The main entrance does not give direct view of the interior or the courtyard. Are you getting my point? The main entrance does not give direct view of the interior or the courtyard. So courtyard means taking care of the concerns of privacy. That's why privacy is, and in Indus Valley people also give importance to privacy. That's why the main entrance door does not cut the interior to the courtyard. So right, and every house had its own bathroom and paved with the bricks with the drains connected through the wall to the street drains. Every house had a own bathroom and with the bricks here that were constructed with the bricks, and the drains also connected through the walls to the street drains. That's important. And some houses have remains of staircases to reach a second story of the roof. Very, very important again. Some houses remains of the staircase also available. Staircases are also found in the Harappa civilization. To reach this second story, second floor or second story or the roof, and there was a staircases. That's also very, very important. Many houses had wells, often in room that could be reached from the outside and perhaps used by the passers-by. That's very, not only for the domestic purpose these wells, and most of the passers, suppose if any passers are going there, then they can also these well for the drinking purpose. Right, that is the beauty of the Indus Valley civilization. So right, next one here, the Indus Valley civilization burials. This is also very, very important. What are the burials? So now here at burials in Harappan sites, the dead were generally laid in pits. Right? That's very, very important. At burials in Harappan sites, the dead were generally laid in pits. Some graves contain pottery and ornaments. Some graves contain the pottery and ornaments. And here, jewelry has been found in burials of both men and women. It's one of the important. It is showing the beliefs of the Harappa civilization. Jewelry has been found in burials of both men and women. In the excavations, particularly the cemetery in Harappa and mid 1980s, right? That ornaments consisting of 3 shell rings. Then one thing here, the ornament actually consists of 3 shell rings, a jasper. That means, what is jasper? A kind of semi-precious stone. Jasper is a kind of semi-precious stone. And bead. And hundreds of micro beads were found near the skull of the male in Harappa. It is important for the prelims. In the excavation at the cemetery in Harappa in the mid 1980s, some ornaments, some jasper, some beads, hundreds of micro beads have been actually found near the skull of the male in Harappa. Right? In some instances, the dead were buried with the copper mirrors. Yes. In some instances, the dead were buried with the copper mirrors. That's also important. Harappans did not believe in burying precious things with the dead. So now here, let us take here a copper mirror. Here one thing here, a copper mirror. This is actually found in the Harappa area with the dead body, with the dead one. Right? And in burials. What is the artifacts? That's also important. Artifacts. So the artifacts also very, very important, and mostly rare objects made of valuable materials. Mostly you can find this kind of material in Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, and mostly this is also found in the smaller settlements. For example, a miniature of pots of faience, and perhaps used as a perfume bottles, and these bottles mostly found in the Mohenjo-daro and Harappa area. And here, even though small settlement also, none from the small settlements like Kalibangan, a material made of ground, and what is the faience? Mostly a doubt, right? A material made of ground sand or silica mixed with the color and a gum and then fired. That is called faience. That's you can find in here a different place, Mohenjo-daro and Harappa area. And gold, that is also too, was rare and was at present probably precious. All the gold jewelry found at Harappa sites are mostly recovered from the hoards. What is the hoards first again? Hoards are objects that keep carefully by the people, often inside containers such as pots. That's important. So here you can see the faience pot, right? A different pot here you can see that was available in the Harappa, right? Now what is the craft production? Is there any craft production? Yes. Chandhudaro is the tiny devoted craft production. It is including bead making, bed making, shell cutting, metal working, seal making, and white making industries. It was a famous, Chandhudaro was a famous craft production. You can find the famous craft productions in Chandhudaro. The variety of materials used to making beads is remarkable. Like stones like a carnelian. The carnelian means a beautiful red color stone, and jasper, crystal, quartz, and steatite. And again here metals like copper, bronze, and gold. And shells, faience and terracotta or barn clay. These are some variety crafts productions have been found in Harappa, particularly in Chandhudaro area. So some beads were made of 2 or more stones that was cemented together of some soft stones with the gold caps. So specialized drills have been found at Chandhudaro, Lothal, and more recently at Dholavira. Specialized drills have been found at Chandhudaro, Lothal, and again more recently at Dholavira. The finished products such as beads from Chandhudaro and Lothal were taken to the large urban centers such as Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. Right? The finished products you can see here are from Chandhudaro, Lothal, and all urban centers like Mohenjo-daro and Harappa also. So Nageshwar and Balapur, this is very, very important. Nageshwar and Balapur settlements are near the coast. These are the Nageshwar and Balapur, those coastal cities. These were specialized center for making the shell objects. For shell objects, specialized centers are Nageshwar and Balapur. That includes bangles, ladles, and inlay which were taken to the other settlements. Okay, right? And craft production was undertaken in large cities such as Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. Like here you can see here a tool and beads. Here the tool to make the beads here. You can see the beautiful beads you can see here. Then now here one more here the pottery, and here you can see the full-fledged pottery here. Some of these can be seen in the National Museum also in Delhi, in the site museum at Lothal actually. Alright, a beautiful pottery. And here a terracotta figurine. It's very important. A terracotta figurine. Right? Terracotta figurine here, which is a beautiful artifacts. Okay, right? And next one here, procurement of materials used for craft production. A procurement material used for craft production. This is I will discuss in next class.